Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I've been asked to reply on behalf of the Prime Minister, who's attending the G7 summit in Evian. May I first pay tribute to two giants of the Labour Party, Roy Hattersley, who was a formidable deputy leader who never stopped fighting for a more equal and fair society. And we also remember our beloved colleague, Jo Cox, and honour her memory for working to bring our communities together, celebrating the decency and the compassion that defines this country. I also want to remember the 72 lives lost at Grenfell Tower. The legacy of that appalling tragedy must be a safe, secure home for everyone in this country. And finally, let me congratulate Scotland on their first win at the Men's World Cup for 36 years. That's what happens, Mr. Speaker, when your captain signs for Spurs. And can I wish England the best of luck for their first match this evening. Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties to this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Can I associate myself with the Deputy Prime Minister's remarks and pay tribute to Jo Cox? I also wish England's men's team all the best tonight. May they follow the Lionesses and Scotland men's winning team's winning example. Does my right honourable friend agree with me that our town and local centres, particularly our independent small businesses, are the lifeblood of our economy? And can he confirm that this Labour government to do what it takes to unlock the potential of our local economies, such as supporting mine and my honourable friends, the member of Thurrock's campaign to restore the Gravesend-Tilbury ferry that was cut by the Conservatives?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, can I congratulate my honourable friend on her campaign to restore Gravesend to Tilbury ferry? I agree that town centres are the heart of our communities and we're determined to help them thrive. Our high street strategy, backed by over £300 million worth of investment, will build on our work to rejuvenate high streets across the country. We're also putting power into the hands of local communities through our flagship Pride in Place programme, and that includes £1.5 million for Gravesham. Her local council can make use of the integrated transport funding for local priorities, including ferry services, and I know ministers will be happy to help.
We come to the Shadow Secretary of State, Claire Coutinho, acting for the official opposition.
On behalf of this side of the House, can I extend our condolences to the families of Jo Cox and Roy Hattersley. I know how much pain we felt on these benches when we lost Sir David Amos, and we share their pain today as well. I also pay tribute to those who lost their lives in the Grenfell Tower fire, and I'd also like to congratulate Scotland on their stunning win and wish England the very best of luck for tonight. Now, Mr. Speaker, it is a great privilege to be standing here with one of the few survivors of Labour's original cabinet, who hasn't resigned on principle or been sacked in disgrace. I feel honoured. So can he start by telling me this? Why is the Labour government happy for Britain to get its oil and gas from Russia or Qatar, but not from Aberdeen?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, can I welcome the Shadow Energy Secretary to the dispatch box. It's always good to hear from someone who was the heart of the Treasury during the biggest fall in living standards on record. The Children's Minister in government that plunged hundreds of thousands of children into poverty, and the Energy Secretary who showed an unwavering commitment to the cause of net zero, even though she's now forgotten that. Don't believe everything you read in the papers. The Prime Minister and the Energy Secretary have been discussing cutting bills by over £100. We've got our Warm Homes plan lifting millions of families out of fuel poverty and securing enough energy projects to power 23 million homes. She was the Energy Secretary who left our country exposed to global fossil fuel markets. We're delivering clean energy security.
Mr. Speaker, Bills came down £500 under me. They've gone up £300 under these guys. And this is nonsense. His party are banning new oil and gas licences in the North Sea. And these guys over here, they're no better, because this is the same policy that the SNP championed for years. It is pointless virtue signalling, and it's destroying well-paid jobs. So can he tell the House how many jobs have been lost in Aberdeen since Labour came to power?
Deputy Prime Minister.
I remember when the Energy Secretary championed net zero. She said in 2023, we cannot prosper, nor can our children flourish if we don't decarbonise energy. The Tories used to believe this 3 years ago. Now she's forgotten because they're desperately chasing reform, and we know it. Over 700 jobs were lost during the last 10 years when they were in power. Production fell 75% over the last 25 years. We've secured over £900 billion worth of investment to support more jobs by taking control with renewables, and there are over 100,000 jobs in Scotland supported by clean power. We're building on that, led by the Great British Energy, headquartered in Aberdeen.
Coutinho.
Mr. Speaker, let me help him out. 1,000 people are losing their jobs every month in places like Aberdeen South because of Labour's policies. They say those oil and gas workers can get new green jobs, but what they don't say is those salaries pay half as much. So can he tell the House how he would feel if the government forced him to take a 50% pay cut?
Deputy Prime Minister.
The Honourable Lady used to be an investment banker, and she's got her facts wrong. Oil and gas is coming out of the North Sea 24/7. In the first 3 months of this year, 52 million barrels of oil came out. 44 million barrels equivalent of gas came out. We're not turning off the taps. It's part of a mixed economy. It will support existing oil and gas fields throughout their lifespan, making changes to exploit neighbouring fields. But we do want to create more jobs, and that's why we're going to continue to invest in renewables. She knew this 3 years ago. She's changed her mind because she's chasing them.
Coutinho.
Mr. Speaker, I asked him about pay cuts, and they should care, because if the Mayor of Manchester gets his way, I'm pretty sure half the front bench are going to be getting a pay cut pretty soon. Mr. Speaker, this is serious. The world is getting, Mr. Speaker, the world is getting more dangerous. Yet last week, the Prime Minister asked the Energy Secretary to help fund the defence of our country, and he ghosted him. Let me repeat that. The Energy Secretary refused to meet the Prime Minister on a matter of national security. Why hasn't he been sacked?
Prime Minister.
Stop reading the papers, I'd say to the Honourable Lady. I certainly don't like papers. Mr. Speaker, when the Defence Investment Plan is published, it will set out, this is important, it will set out how every government department is contributing to defence, including the Energy Department. We will always put national security first. The party opposite still don't get it. Families worried about their bills going up because of a war in the Middle East that her leader said she'd jump into feet first.
If everything's so hunky-dory, why did half his defence team quit last week? Mr. Speaker, they won't find the money to keep our country safe, so let's go through some of the things they can find the money for. Millions of pounds to build solar farms in the Congo, tens of millions of pounds on an experiment to dim the sun, and they are turning down £25 billion in tax revenue from the North Sea to please their out-of-control Energy Secretary. Does he really think that any of that is more important than defending our country.
Deputy Prime Minister.
We've said that more spending on defence is our #1 priority in this spending review and the next spending review. But she wants to talk about resignations. Let's just remind ourselves. The Tory Defence Secretary that resigned in the last government, the member for Stone, who was sacked for breaching national security. The Tory Defence Secretary, Michael Fallon, who resigned over sexual harassment. The Tory Defence Secretary who admitted hollowing out the Armed Force Services for 14 years, that was Ben Wallace. We've got a Prime Minister securing jobs and investment in the G7. We've got a Chancellor raising the minimum wage. We've got an Education Secretary cutting costs for childcare. And we've got an Energy Secretary cutting energy bills by over £100. We're proud of that record.
If everything is fine, why is he here? Let's face it, this is, he wasn't here last week, was he? Let's face it, this is a government on life support. And what's their grand plan now? They want to, let me get this straight, they want to make the job-destroying Energy Secretary Chancellor. They want to bring back the former Transport Secretary who resigned for nicking phones. They want to replace him with the former Deputy Prime Minister who resigned for dodging taxes. These are all pointless distractions. So here's a better idea. Why don't they cut welfare, fund defence, make energy cheap, and back the North Sea?
Deputy Prime Minister.
It's thin gruel. It's very thin gruel, Mr. Speaker. I'm here like she is because I'm standing in for the Prime Minister and the leader of my party. I'm proud to serve this Prime Minister and proud of what this Labour government is delivering. More rights for working people, the biggest upgrade to workers' rights in a generation, the biggest boost to defence spending since the Cold War, and lifting more children out of poverty in a single term than any British government in history. The party opposite can make all the noise they want. They don't want to talk about the economy because it's growing. They don't want to talk about the NHS because waiting lists are falling, and they don't want to talk about immigration because they lost control of our borders and net migration is down under us 82%. They had their chance, they blew it. We're building a stronger, fairer Britain.
I also want to pay tribute to Jo Cox and her family and the commitment in her name that we tackle division and extremism, because we saw extremism play out on the streets of Belfast last week, a pogrom, families burnt out based on the colour of their skin, health workers stopped for ID by masked thugs, small businesses ordered to close, and many minorities are still living in fear after a list of their addresses was circulated widely online. They deserve more than sympathy and warm words. They deserve to know that governments are serious about confronting hatred on and offline. The UK government and the Northern Ireland Executive spend millions each year on programmes intended to tackle paramilitarism, but decades after the Troubles, individuals linked to loyalist paramilitaries had a role in directing and fuelling the disorder last week, including menacing a senior journalist on tape. Will the UK government commit to reviewing how the Northern Ireland Executive is gripping or failing to grip paramilitarism, and will they ensure that public money never reaches individuals or groups who fuel, orchestrate or benefit from intimidation and hate?
Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, can I join her in utterly condemning the violence? People are right to feel sickened by the sight of people being burnt out of their homes because of the colour of their skin. That is racism, and Mr. Speaker, those responsible will face the full force of the law. We must never go back to 1950s Britain, where my father arrived to signs saying no blacks, no dogs, no Irish. We are focused on bringing people together, and that includes providing a further £24 million to help tackle paramilitarism, acting to tackle those inciting hatred online, and our social cohesion plan is about bringing our communities together. I'm happy to work with all parties in that endeavour.
Daisy Cooper, Deputy Leader of the Liberal Democrats.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I associate myself and my party with the Deputy Prime Minister's tribute to Jo Cox? We extend our condolences to her friends and family and to all those of Roy Hattersley as well. And can I join with the Deputy Prime Minister in remembering the horrific tragedy of Grenfell and that those families still are awaiting justice? Mr. Speaker, can I congratulate all those named in the King's Birthday Honours List, congratulate Scotland and wish good luck to England for this evening. Mr. Speaker, the Right Honourable Member for Rawmarsh and Conisbrough is respected across this House. When he says that he was forced to make decisions that could make the country less safe, we should all take heed. It is now becoming clear that the Treasury's refusal to consider new ways of funding defence is undermining our national security. So will the Deputy Prime Minister join with us to make the case in government for new defence bonds, which could raise £20 billion over 2 years to defend our country?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, can I say to the Honourable Lady that we do believe that we should work with our allies to join up defence procurement and funding. That's why we're exploring the most effective mechanisms for multilateral cooperation. And of course, it's a topic of discussion for the Prime Minister at the G7.
Daisy Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We're pleased to hear that the government is looking at this, but they need to act far quicker. Mr. Speaker, it is now more than 5 years since the Prime Minister originally set his famous red lines on Europe when he was in opposition. No customs union, no single market. But since then, the world has changed. Putin has launched a war on our continent, an unreliable Donald Trump has returned to the White House, and here at home the cost of living has got worse and worse. So does the Deputy Prime Minister agree that the government should rip up those red lines now, or is that just another job to be left to the next Prime Minister?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, I was proud to be the Labour Foreign Secretary that returned to the meeting of European Foreign Secretary and work alongside my colleague in the Cabinet Office to ensure that we were at that summit, and it was successful last year. And I've just confirmed the next summit will take place on the 22nd of July. Our red lines remain, but we're focused on an SPS deal to cut prices on the shelves, a youth experience scheme, and cutting red tape for exporters.
McNally.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'm sure the whole House will want to congratulate Sir Kevin Sinfield on which is fitting recognition for his work on motor neuron disease. Another champion fighting for a cure for MND is my constituent Mark Somerville, who I've raised at Prime Minister's questions in the past. Diagnosed in 2023, Mark fights with remarkable resolve and courage. I'm supporting Mark and his foundation in pushing for a new national MND strategy with an emphasis on finding effective treatments, enhancing access to trials and accelerating novel drug discovery. Will my right honourable friend meet with me to discuss this further so we can work to find a cure for this horrific condition?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, can I join him in congratulating Sir Kevin Sinfield? He's an inspirational fundraiser and a champion for his sport and, of course, for the MND community. And I know that Mark Somerville runs an excellent foundation campaigning on MND in his constituency. We are committed to improving care for people with motor neuron disease. We're looking at the current system to ensure care is truly focused on the needs of individuals. We're also investing in cutting-edge research, including a world-first clinical trial to test remotely monitored portable ventilators. And I know that the Minister for Care would be happy to meet with him to discuss this further.
Matt Vickers.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Since this government came to office, more than 500,000 businesses have closed. Nearly 1 million young people are without education, employment and training. And graduate recruitment is at an all-time low. These are not just statistics. These are people's lives, people's jobs and people's futures. Can the Deputy Prime Minister tell the House if this is because the government A, hiked business rates and slashed reliefs, B, slammed employers with the jobs tax? C, buried businesses with the Employment Rights Act? Or D, all of the above?
We've got the fastest growing economy in the G7. Borrowing is down, and we just signed our 5th major trade deal. But I must say to this Tory Deputy Chairman, yesterday he was on television laughing and joking about the arson attack on the Prime Minister's home, laughing about a firebomb targeting the Prime Minister and his family. Not only that, he joined with promoting conspiracies about the attack and laughed along to demeaning homophobic remarks. He should be ashamed of himself. Absolutely ashamed. My advice to him is to grow up, apologise and do considerably better.
Sarah Owen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Makerfield candidate for reform has disgracefully said, and I quote, "The majority of abortions are for vanity purposes." He described mums, in his words, with their fat bellies pushing prams in their PJs and failed to apologise to national treasure Carol Vorderman for endorsing sexually explicit comments about her. Mr. Speaker, this exposes the rank hypocrisy of reform politicians talking tough on Vogue, but in reality having zero respect for women. Does the Deputy Prime Minister agree with me that reform has a problem with women, further highlighted by seemingly welcoming a woman beater into their fold?
Deputy Prime Minister.
My honourable friend makes a powerful point. The Prime Minister has rightly put tackling violence against women and girls at the heart of this Labour government. By contrast, I've been utterly appalled by what we've heard from the Reform candidate in Makerfield, from vile sexist comments to saying Putin was within his rights to invade Ukraine. When the Reform leader was asked about them, his answer was, "So what?" This speaks volumes about reform. The only way to stop their politics of grievance is to vote Labour.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I also echo the tribute to Jo Cox, Roy Hattersley and the victims of the Grenfell Tower fire. Mr. Speaker, there are approximately 400,000 private hire and black cab drivers in the United Kingdom, and we rely on each and every one of them to keep our economy moving. It's concerning to hear that this government is letting Uber deploy robotic minicabs across London, with the potential of this being rolled out across the country. Our drivers already face unsafe working conditions, discrimination and low pay, and now they're becoming casualties of this AI drive. At the last general election, British people were promised jobs and better workers' rights. So ask the Deputy Prime Minister, why is the government pushing an agenda that will drive tens of thousands out of work, and will he arrange for a meeting so we can have a discussion about this matter?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, can I say to the honourable gentleman, I attended the AI summit in India, and right across the world, all countries and many companies, and certainly tech companies, are at the forefront of this opportunity. Now, you've got to get the governance right, and of course you've got to test and retest to ensure safety, and anything on our roads, of course, would be tested and licensed by the Department for Transport. So I don't think we can stand in the face of innovation.
Debbie Abraham.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And can I associate myself with the remarks of the Deputy Prime Minister and also congratulate my constituent, Sir Kevin Sinfield, for all the work that he does. Mr. Speaker, yesterday marked the 10th anniversary of the murder of our dear friend Jo Cox, and of course our wonderful member for Spen Valley. She was also the wife, daughter and mother, and we must not forget that. Jo's mantra was always that we had more in common than that which divides us. So can my right honourable friend indicate what he thinks he should do, and in fact what we should all do, so that Jo's beliefs and Jo's legacy are always remembered?
Deputy Prime Minister.
I'm so grateful to my honourable friend. We all miss Jo, a dear friend and a valued colleague. 3 years ago, I had the great privilege of opening the Jo Cox Mooring Commons Centre in Huddersfield alongside Jo's sister, the Honourable Member for Spen Valley, and her parents, Jean and Gordon. It was one of the great honours of my life. We all have a duty to live up to the values that Jo stood for. She was a trailblazing campaigner against loneliness and inspired the great get-together taking place this weekend. In the words of the Jo Cox Foundation, holding or attending great get-together in your local area is a simple but powerful way to honour Jo's legacy. Neighbours coming together, differences set aside, communities choosing unity over division, because that is what Jo stood for.
Louis French.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'm sure we all share the thoughts regarding Jo Cox and her family here today. Mr. Speaker, I know that the Deputy Prime Minister has always struggled with police visibility, even when they are stood behind him. But does he agree with Sir Mark Rowley that London will be even less safe because of this government's police cuts and the decision made last week by Sadiq Khan to block a key contract which will lead to 500 less frontline officers here in police and will make us all less safe?
Deputy Prime Minister.
I'm hugely grateful for the work of the Home Secretary and the previous Home Secretary for putting neighbourhood policing back at the heart of our communities and extra policing across the country. We remember on this side the decisions by Boris Johnson to cut policing across the country. I'll take no lectures from the honourable gentleman.
John Healey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A film called The People's Emergency Briefing is being shown in communities up and down the country. I recently attended a screening in Wirksworth. There's another one next week in Bakewell. The film educates us and reminds us of the climate emergency that we're all facing. And yet, inexplicably, the party opposite has basically given up on the climate. And Reform continue to act like modern-day flat earthers, refusing to accept science and refusing to accept the bleeding obvious. So, can the Deputy Prime Minister please assure me that this Labour government will continue to do everything it can to combat man-made climate change?
Very grateful to my friend for campaigning on this issue, and I'm very proud that this government has restored the UK's position as a global leader on climate action. That includes ambitious targets to reduce climate emissions, restore nature and seizing the opportunities of clean renewable power. The net zero economy now supports over 1 million jobs and secures over £105 billion for our economy. That's proof that tackling climate and growing the economy can go hand in hand. Those aren't the words, Mr. Speaker, of me. They're from the Baroness Theresa May in the past fortnight. The Tories used to believe in this agenda, but they've forgotten because they're chasing reform.
Bradley Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and if I can associate myself with the tributes paid to Jo Cox. Mr. Speaker, in 2 weeks' time, new steel quotas and 50% tariffs will come into force, which industry have said will cost jobs. UKF Steel in my constituency have been clear. They have said that without a change of course, they will almost certainly cease trading before the end of the year, and that will cost 50 jobs in my constituency. Last week I attended a cross-party round table, and it was clear that my concerns are also shared by many Labour MPs who are concerned about job losses and further deindustrialisation. What action is being taken at the very top of government to mitigate the effects of what will be an imminent but avoidable economic disaster?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, he raises a serious issue, and he might have forgot that this House legislated emergency measures to save steel across our country, and of course we will continue to do more. And I would say to him that of course it was on the agenda for the Prime Minister at the G7.
Dr. Becky Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's great to see the NHS moving forward with a reduction in waiting lists and improving relations with our junior doctors, my fellow colleagues. But in order to keep our NHS working well in the long term, we must get serious about prevention. Every year, more than 30,000 deaths in our country are attributed to poor air quality. Ella Kitty Deborah's mum knows this all too well. Her little girl was just 9 years old when she died as a direct result of air pollution. 70 years on from the 1956 Clean Air Act, will the Deputy Prime Minister now support a much-needed update of this essential law, to protect the future of our NHS and to keep our children healthy.
Prime Minister.
Well, thank my honourable friend for raising this. She makes a powerful point as someone who's worked for many years in public health. I've met Ella's family, including her mother, Rosamond. Her death was a tragedy, and this is an issue close to my heart. Through our environmental improvement plan, we're taking action to cut pollutants. That includes new targets to cut exposure to harmful particles by a third and reforming industrial permitting to reduce emissions. A minister will be very happy to meet with her and discuss this further.
Judge Bob.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As an Eastbourne boy born and bred, I can tell the Deputy Prime Minister that Eastbourne Pier is an iconic part of our heritage, an iconic part of our local economy, and an iconic part of me. I literally have it tattooed on me, and I can show the Deputy Prime Minister afterwards. But on a serious note, the residents of Eastbourne have become concerned for the pier's future after a company connected to the pier has fallen into liquidation, and indeed maintenance costs of piers across the country have been sky high. So will the Deputy Prime Minister back my Protect Our Pier campaign and meet with me to discuss emergency measures to safeguard our pier for the future?
Prime Minister.
What can I say to my honourable friend that I never thought I'd get a request to look at his tattoos, but I know that Eastbourne Pier is a much-loved, iconic local landmark. I believe he's meeting the Minister for Communities to discuss this campaign. I'm pleased we've allocated 20 million in Pride and Place funding to regenerate Eastbourne. It was one of the first seaside towns I visited as a young child, and this summer his constituents will be able to enjoy their day at the pier for less with our great British summer savings, with free bus travel for kids, cheaper meals and cheaper tickets to amusement parks.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thames Water's headquarters are local to my town of Reading, but it's their distant creditors who are really in charge. Investors should be rewarded for success, but they should pay for their failures. That is why I strongly welcome the government's objections to the current creditors deal. Under any deal or special administration regime, the company will be restructured. The question is whether that restructuring will be done only in the interests of senior creditors or with customers and the environment in mind. Will the Deputy Prime Minister tell us whose side he is on?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, can I thank my honourable friend for her dedicated work on this. I'm on the side of the people who elected us to clean up our rivers, our lakes and our seas. I'm on the side, and this government is on the side, of consumers paying the price for years and years of failure by them on the opposite side. We don't want Thames Water customers to have to pick up the bill for the company's failures. We stand ready for all eventualities. Labour has already blocked bonuses and introduced criminal sanctions for polluting water bosses, and we will go further by creating a new powerful regulator to hold all companies to account and clean up our waterways.
Pritchard.
Can I say to the Deputy Prime Minister, he's looking very Prime Ministerial today, and he certainly might have got my vote if he decides to run for Labour leader on Friday. Trust me, it's a deliberate ploy. Trust me. On a serious note, Stoke Heath is a settlement in the Wrekin constituency in Shropshire. Over the last few hours, I've been informed, I think very lately, by the way, that 121 asylum seekers will be going into that settlement. That is a 35% increase in the population over a matter of weeks. That's equivalent to 44,000 asylum seekers coming into the Deputy Prime Minister's constituency. Whilst this is a tolerant nation and a compassionate nation and an understanding nation, does the Deputy Prime Minister agree with me that that level of dispersal into a small, isolated rural community isn't fair?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, can I say to the right honourable gentleman, and he and I have sought common cause on a range of issues on a cross-party terms over the years. I'm proud that on that central issue, we have seen a reduction in net migration of 82% over the last 23 months that we've been in power. We cannot have to grip this problem and then in ensuring that people are detained most often so that they can be removed, saying, not in my patch. Now, I don't know the detail of his circumstances, and of course the Immigration Minister will look at it, but we have to be honest about what the British public expect us to do on their behalf.
Moraz, Mr Speaker. I welcome the Government's willingness to take tough action to protect young people online, reflecting growing concerns about the harms that can arise from online platforms, including self-harm, suicide and poor mental health. The consequences can be truly devastating for those affected, including families in South East Cornwall whose experience I will never forget. Individuals and companies are promoting and profiting from harmful material and behaviour online that would rightly affect far greater scrutiny in the offline world. Freedom of speech must be defended, and currently what we have online is often not free speech, but manipulated speech. Companies with influence over what millions of people see should be held accountable and made responsible. So does the Deputy Prime Minister agree with me? And what further action will the Government take to strengthen accountability and protect young people online before more lives are lost?
Deputy Prime Minister.
I agree with my honourable friend 100%. I thank her and know that she's worked closely with families affected by harmful content in her constituency. Our decision to ban social media for under 16s is a landmark moment which will ensure we better protect children and young people across our country. We will absolutely hold platforms to account for the harms that they can cause, and that's why we've also asked Ofcom to review their capability to enforce the social media ban and to publish a clear enforcement strategy.
Christine Jardine.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. Earlier this week in Westminster Hall we had a debate on brain tumours, brain cancer, and the inequity of the service across the United Kingdom, highlighted by my constituent Archie Goodburn, a Commonwealth swimmer who will be competing in Glasgow next month, but only got the treatment he needed after I approached the Government and the Government supported him. So will the Government look at how we ensure people in all parts of the United Kingdom, regardless of devolution, get the best possible treatment for cancers?
Prime Minister.
Well, there's a new target. 75% of patients diagnosed from 2035 will be cancer-free or living well after 5 years, and that means 320,000 lives will be saved. The cancer plan will end the postcode lottery on cancer, introduce a new 3-year neighbourhood early diagnosis fund, and cover the cost of travelling for cancer treatment. I know the Minister's happy to meet with her to discuss further.
Chris Spence.
Thank you, Mr Speaker, and I thank the Deputy Prime Minister and others for their comments about Jo Cox. Our thoughts are with her family today, as they are every day. Can I also thank the Town Park volunteers who I joined this morning in repairing the iconic zigzag bridge in Harlow. Harlow is going to be a site of one of the Government's new youth hubs, another example of this Labour Government investing in our town. I believe passionately, Mr Speaker, that Harlow's young people have so much potential. Does the Deputy Prime Minister agree with me and agree that this funding will unlock that potential?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, can I thank my honourable friend? As a former school teacher, I know how much he cares about this. I'm delighted that we've announced locations for 180 new youth hubs, including in Harlow. It means more young people across the country will benefit from skills and training opportunities. And this week we've shown that this Labour Government is working to transform the lives of our young people. I thank him for all his campaigning on behalf of his constituency, and I know a lot of the young people support.
That completes questions. Let the front bench change over.